Welcome, everyone, to 8 ways to turn every single employee into a learner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So last year, we actually were here at Talent Connect, where we brought this whole concept of boom to the conference. And thanks to your votes, we're back. Thanks, America.
On a big stage, yay! Thank you so much. Well, real quick question: like, who went to last year? Who saw us last year? I saw your hand first.
Boom.
Pink or blue? Right there. Right?
You get a T-shirt.
Yeah, you get a T-shirt. Pink or blue? That's the only choice. Blue?
All right.
Fantastic. And then the choices got a little limited at this.
Give it up for
anyway,
her getting a T-shirt.
There you go.
For call and response.
All right. So this is my Ellen moment or something. So there you go. Thank you. You got it. All right.
All right. So a little bit about us. So my name is Naphtali Bryant. I love long walks on the beach, and I'm an avid skier. Okay, I'm just teasing. I'm one of 6 kids raised by a single mother, and I've been doing learning and development for over 17 years in local government, entertainment, and now in high tech.
My name is Jason Mulero. If I sound like I'm in any way nasally, I am, okay? I have like these perfect 2 storm fronts like coming together. It's like tired and like my allergies are out of my mind, literally. So I just want you to know that I'm aware that I sound this way. Anyway, so I'm Jason. I am a career educator. I started my career I started in HR, did a small stint in HR before going into public education. So I've taught 9th through 12th grade literature, the most hostile audience in the world, teenagers, right? So, I mean, I love that my career started that way because you guys are walking the park, right? No, but seriously, huh? Oh, yeah, exactly. It's too soon, right? Yeah, absolutely. That's okay. I could take it. It's all right? So, yeah, I started as a teacher in New York City. This is why I say off and coffee. And, I was like, Jay-Z, please, thank you. But on a serious note, it was a great start to what for me has been a passion ever since. And it's just like seeing folks grow and develop and to be part of that. So.
Yeah, and we're here representing Service Titan. We're a tech company out in Glendale, California. So let's go ahead and get started. So here's what our agenda looks like for this afternoon session. We want to kick it off with a quick activity to get the juices flowing and get you in the boom mood, what we like to call it. Secondly, we'll go over the 8 ways that you can leverage to turn every single employee into your organization into a learner. Then we'll focus in on 4 featured practices that we believe can really kickstart things in the right way for you. And then we'll wrap it up with some key takeaways and hopefully have some time for Q&A. Sound good? Are we ready? Can we get a boom?
Boom.
All
right. So just to be clear, the boom is both the outcome and the approach that we take in developing and working with our learners, okay? So you notice that you have a big-ass handout, right? Okay? That is that large for, it's on purpose, all right? So that way you remember us beyond today, okay? As it gets stuck in your bags and whatnot. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we'll refer to some elements of that, and you can go ahead and take notes or just like use it as a reference, okay? But you also found on your chairs a little blue little square card, all right? Some of them are blue, some of them are green, some of them are purple. There is a gesture or some kind of a activity or action on one side. Ignore it, we're not gonna have you do all that, okay? But we want you to look at the side with the question. Okay, question side, all right? And here's what we're gonna do, all right? We're gonna get a little bit uncomfortable for some people. People are like, oh my God, an icebreaker, here we go, all right? Who hate that, right? It's not an icebreaker, it's really just a way to get you to connect. And some people are just like, oh my God, it's the same thing. All right, it's fine, okay? So just like love us and just like roll with us, all right? So we're gonna ask you to please stand up, okay? And in a moment, I'm gonna ask you to pair up, preferably with someone that you don't know, okay? Get to know someone, all right? In it together, all right, cool, okay? So here's how it's gonna work. Everybody has a card. Everybody has a card with a question on it. So you're gonna pair up, all right? I'm gonna ask the question. He's gonna answer. He's gonna ask me his question, and then I'm gonna answer. Cool? All right? When you're done, go ahead and swap. Raise your hand, and that's gonna signal that you're ready for another conversation, okay? Let's just see how many you can get through in about 4 minutes.
Go.
Got it? Go. Oh, I see some hands up. All right.
Once again, raise your hand when you're ready for a new partner.
Swap cards, and then just find another partner.
You got to move around the room. So
All right. One more minute. One more minute.
if you got your hand up, look for a new partner. Last round, last round.
All right, all right, all right, all right.
You can head back to your seats. So let's come back together. Take your seats, please.
Let's go. Come on, come on.
So you can start to end that
Back to your
conversation.
seats.
Back to your seats. All right.
Okay. I know, that's crazy. It's like, hey, talk, get to know someone. Okay, stop, let it go, all right? Some people never didn't even move, by the way.
Oh.
They didn't switch. So those were deep combos, all right?
So of course we wish we could do that all day. But did you feel the energy in the room? Yes. Right? And we just turned everyone in this room into a learner right now because you got an opportunity to talk and learn from other people. And so really today is all about helping you understand how to leverage tools, techniques, practices to turn everybody into a learner. And we hope that these 8 ways that we're going to share with you will kickstart some of those ideas for how you can do it in your own organization. So let's get started. So the question is, why do you need to turn every employee into a learner? Well, I'm sure we know of various statistics and things out there, from Josh Bersin to Gallup. So let me just give you some of these statistics and get them out of the way really quickly here. So 74% of folks that are learners are much more likely to have a better career, 48% less likely to be stressed, 47% more likely to be productive at work, 39% more likely to be engaged, and 21% more likely to be effective in their day-to-day job, blah, blah, blah. We know all these different stats. Many of you use them as weapons of warfare when you're in learning and development, right? But I want to point to 2 specific stats to call out here. The first one is 90,000 hours. Turn to somebody and say 90,000 hours. That's the average amount of time you will spend in your lifetime at work. Some of you, that may get up to about 150,000, depending on the number of hours you're working week to week. And then the second stat, if folks are heavy learners, they are 21% more likely to be engaged at work. So what does that all mean? 90,000 hours is a lot of time and a lot of space to impact the lives, performance, and overall culture of your organization and the people that you work with. So that's what we want you to think about. There's opportunity there for you to impact your organization. So quick show of hands, how many people in here are in an L&D role in your organization? L&D role is in your title. Awesome, right. L&D is in the house. How many people are in HR acting as an L&D person, kind of doing twofold? All right. And how many people are just aspiring to be an L&D? Anybody? All right. So the way we want to take a look at this, these 8 ways are different things that you can leverage regardless of if L&D is 5% of your job or 100% of your job. Mm-hmm. We want to make it simple for you to engage with. So let's just get this right off the bat. Here are the 8 ways.
All right. So we're going to go over 8 ways, 4 of which we're going to double click into. All right. Go to the next one. All right. And let's go ahead and talk about learning culture, all right? So learning culture is one of those buzzwords that we use a lot, right? And when you think learning culture without really defining it, it kind of sounds like we're walking around the office like, we're learning, all happy, right? And then birds alighting on your shoulder like, oh my God, we're so full of knowledge and all that stuff, right, okay? But we wanted to ground our work in something more concrete, right? So we went ahead and defined learning culture as the combination or the coming together of 3 specific elements or components, right? The first one being strategy, Experiences, connection, all amplified by a dedicated focus on engaging your learners, okay? And you're gonna see throughout the presentation that it's organized as the eight ways as examples of those three specific elements.
Boom. All right, so let's talk first about strategy. So when we think of strategy, I think in L&D we overthink it. We think we have to have a 25-page document that outlines everything we're gonna do from a learning perspective. But what I wanna encourage you to think about is the first way that you can turn everyone into a learner is really by being a strategic learning advisor to the business. So what does that mean? There's some research out there by Josh Bersin that says 67% of L&D leaders believe the role of learning advisor has become more important in the past 3 years. So the question I have to ask myself is, why is that the case? And what we can do about it? Now, typically L&D, we follow this linear path to our strategy versus thinking outside the box on how we can actually connect and partner with the business. And the reality is that you can play an even more strategic role in your business. So if you think about how you can do that, according to Corporate Executive Board, there are 3 core competencies that you can develop or that you can focus on to be the strategic learning advisor your business needs. Those 3 competencies, talk about those in a moment. But the first thing I want to get into is going beyond, yeah, it was a tease, right? You have to go beyond just your L&D expertise. So what does that mean? You have to ask some core questions. These are some questions you want to consider. So when I work with leaders in the organizations that I work for, I have to ask myself some questions. Things like, what is going on in my business right now that I can impact the most? Other questions like, how does my organization even make money? Top line, bottom line. Are you even aware of that as an L&D professional? And one of the questions that I also like to leverage is, what does success look like for L&D? Have you ever just sat back and said, man, what does it look like for our organization to be successful with learning and development? Now, these are just some questions I encourage you to consider as you're thinking about how to become this learning advisor your organization needs. But now back to the competencies, those 3 competencies that help you get into the strategic mindset. The first one, L&D expertise, which typically we already bring to the table. We bring our L&D expertise to the table, we know what we're talking about, but there's 2 others that we tend to forget. Business expertise. This is your ability to understand and be excited about what your business is doing and connect your work to that business. And then lastly, advisory capability. This is your capability to be a negotiator, to be that content curator, to be that consultant that your organization needs. I encourage you to think about these 3 competencies. Think about making your strategy simple, scalable, fast, easy to leverage within your organization, and bring out the learning advisor that your organization needs. Stop overthinking your strategy. Boom.
All right, second of our ways or tactics or practices, if you will, that still tucks under the element of strategy is building employees who are fit for performance. So another way we like to refer to that is building employees who are fit to drive the business forward, okay? Question, anybody a cyclist in this room? Swimmers, like basketball players, okay, cool, all right. Who is a learner? Fantastic.
Why didn't everyone's hands go up? That's
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
crazy.
I know. Okay, what do the 2 have in common? Well, you know, to be a cyclist and to be a learner, they both require endurance, all right? Endurance, though, equals time, and I don't know if anybody went to Pame's presentation yesterday, right? You know, like make time for learning, like time, oh my God, right? So endurance equals time, and time is one of the biggest challenges that we face. I mean, we work through lunch and all that good stuff, you know, cutting down those 90,000 lifetime hours a little bit, all right? But what we need to solve for as L&D folks is basically, you know, having our folks consistently and regularly engage with learning activity, right? That endurance piece, but also solve for like this lack of time, okay? So real quick.
What does that look like?
Yeah, well, it looks like a CrossFit workout, all right? So CrossFitters in the room, you like that visual reference, or CrossFit adjacent people too, okay? This is what we call the Franklin, all right? It's a regimen, if you will, that we've put into place at our organization in the past. Very similar to the discussion yesterday around like making time for learning, right? And the idea that we, you know, go into these situations with, you know, trying to help our employees find the time, it's really about focusing, you know, on the incremental like engagement with like learning, okay? So just as an example, right? You know, once a month, curating resources, sending them out, like maybe once a week, right? And under those resources in that once a month resource push, you can include like 10-minute TED Talks, right? We've done that. We've focused on not just like courses within the LinkedIn Learning platform, but we've emphasize like, videos in like 3-minute bites. The idea is essentially like, you can do this, right? We recognize that time is definitely a challenge, but it is possible if you are intentional about it, that you can carve out some time. And we as the L&D professionals, we want to make that easy and accessible for them, okay? And just to be perfectly cliche and on theme, all right, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's not a marathon, and that's one of the things that we emphasize with our managers and like with our employees as well. It's not a marathon. This is going to take a long time in order to grow and to develop.
So turn to your neighbor and tell them, you can do this.
You can do this, okay? All right, so on 3, everybody say with me, stack those tools, all right? 1, 2, 3, stack those tools. I know, it's like a Wayne Brady moment kind of thing, all right? So the third of our 8 ways is about strategically building a toolkit or a bag of, I call it a bag of tricks, all right? It's about always having that source that you can go ahead and turn to for inspiration. All right, when I was a teacher, I taught 9th through 12th grade, I taught English, and so like each year was divided into, fall semester, spring semester. I had like a binder for, fall, a binder for spring, and it was 9th grade all the way through 12th grade, 8 binders essentially, right? And those 8 binders represented essentially this like toolkit that I had of activities and lesson plans and stuff that I could always turn to, right? And so that practice continued when I left public education and went into learning and development. And the focus has always been, right, through an intentional, like staying curious, having that toolkit, all right? What that might look like is like honestly being up at night at 11 o'clock, all right? 11 o'clock at night, just Googling, right? Using keywords based off of like the gaps or whatever the problems or issues that we're facing within the organization, and trying to find if I can match, like, what are some exercises, what are some tools, what are some resources, all right? But if you're like me, then you kind of like the shiny things, right? Anybody like the shiny brand things? Who has an iPhone 11? Oh, okay. You like shiny things. Yay, shiny things. All right. So if you're like me, you like the shiny things, and it could get a little bit overwhelming because in the world of L&D, there's a lot out there and a lot of like materials and a lot of resources. All right. So we essentially, we settled on like 5 questions that serve as our selection criteria when we're like vetting resources. All right. The first one is the tool scalable. So am I going to be able to use this as like we grow as an organization, as the team grows? What's the experience like? Is it something that I'm going to be able to easily deploy? Is it something that the learners are going to return to, right? Because I can go ahead and purchase something that it's incredible and it looks great and it's not useful, or they can easily search through it. They never come back to it, all right? The other question is the resource best in class. Like I want my learners to have like the best of the best, all right? Because, part of this is like my reputation here as well, okay? Is the tool mobile friendly, specifically when we're looking at tech-based tools? And what companies are currently using this tool, right? So like that social proof is really important, especially if it's a company that is within like your industry. So if they're counted as customers, that's a great resource to then start like searching and researching. All right, and I mentioned that we've Googled, specific issues or gaps or areas where we've encountered gaps. And these are just a couple of that we've tried to solve for, like onboarding as an example, or the need for content development and curating self-paced learning resources, things around like making within the room things more exciting, like a workshop, so like onboarding videos, like surveys, learning games, and also marketing communications has been an area that we've tried to address as well, all right? And let me give you an example of what that looks like, and I'll go ahead and just say this, all right? I'm gonna give you a scenario. Who here has done onboarding or does onboarding or orientation or something like that? All right, so let me give you a quick scenario, and you tell me if you identify with this, okay? So new hire comes in, their laptop, their desk, stuff like that is not set up. The end. Because that frustration is just the next thing that comes after that, right? So you've experienced that, yes, all right? From the laughter, you've experienced it. So we needed to solve for that, right? So what were we doing? We're like Googling and onboarding, workflows and streamlining and all that stuff. And we applied those same 5 questions and eventually landed on this tool called Mboarder that just facilitates communication and allows us to create like customized workflows, customized to like teams and roles. Really cool tool, so we settled on that. All right. What else? All right, so some of you have, do you have like specific teams that you have a hard time kind of like corralling to attend workshops and stuff, right? For us, it's been like sales, no offense to anybody, right? Or like customer success people, like basically those customer-facing roles. They can't be torn away from the phones, and so we have a hard time getting them into the room. What LinkedIn Learning has allowed us to do is essentially, yes, be able to quickly curate and push things out to the learners, right? So what am I talking about? Learning contests or learning like commitments, like we heard yesterday. We push things out, like I mentioned, every single month. all right? So we're able to do that, but we're also, our second use of the tool is empower like the learners to create like their own collections, and we sit down with managers and put them in the driver's seat essentially. All right, who loves writing a newsletter? Nobody, all right? They're just like terrible to write, and guess what? People don't even read them, all right? But we do need to communicate, all right? And in order to make the communication essentially like, we're creating clickbait for our organization, right? So in order to do that, we turn to MailChimp, and MailChimp has a like free to, priced tiered kind of like package. So if cost is a concern, or if you're just like piloting or prototyping, then, turning to tools that, will offer that flexibility is really useful. All right, and not all of the tools have to be tech-based, as you experienced earlier when we first started, all right? These are great. Did you like that? Yeah, these are awesome. And I'm going to believe you, okay? Were they great? Yeah, okay, thank you. So when you get into that gesture on that side of the card, that's just, party.
All right.
Okay, so that's on your handout, but I'm going to give you a moment to very quickly, just a moment as an individual, just reflect, identify one need or gap that you can leverage an innovative learning tool or technology for. And I'll pause for a moment just so you could think.
Should have like thinking music or something.
I know.
DJ. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
I want a theme song too. And yesterday I was like, the first thing that came to my mind that was on theme was like, as long as we got each other. You guys know that? No. That's like family size?
All right. Does everyone have
Yeah,
an idea? How many people were able to identify a gap or something they can use a learning tool for? Show of hands. All right, some folks.
Cool.
Okay. All right, moving on.
All right, next up in the learning culture formula is experiences, all right? What makes a great experience? That's what we're looking to address here, and how do you drive experiences that will ultimately build engagement? Okay, so bold statement. The brand of an organization's learning function is a pretty good litmus test or reflection on the culture of the organization as well, all right? That's a really bold statement. I'm gonna go ahead a step further and say that the learning brand is also your brand. Hello, spoiler, all right? That's how they see you too, okay? Interestingly though, we do not devote nearly enough time marketing our presence within the organization or marketing our programs. I mean, 15% better than zero, but certainly, a lot of opportunity for growth there, okay? All right, and why is that important? Well, because you know what? Boring is a brand too, people, all right? So if they don't see a brand, they're gonna make one up for you, all right? The focus for us has always been creating a really fun brand, and so what we've done in order to accomplish that is partner with our marketing team to create like branded assets for our programs, create a logo, a presence within the organization for us. And I know not everybody has access to their marketing team or don't have a marketing team. This is where absolutely you would turn to one of those resources. And at the end of the presentation, we have like a slide of resources that we've used to vet like free and tools that would make marketing really easy for someone who's not a marketer. All right. Now, we want to go ahead and introduce to you something by the name of the growth funnel, all right? It's a lot like the sales funnel, but it is the growth funnel, and it's going to help us understand, or helped us understand, the connection between branding and the eventual growth and development of like your employees, okay? At the very top of the funnel, what we start off with is a lot like sales. You just have a lot of potential learners, okay? How and why they move further down into the funnel is going to be driven 100% by your sales and marketing abilities, all right? The question is, are you at 15% or are you at greater in terms of what you are, how you're approaching your marketing tactics, okay? And that's a really important question because even your most committed learners, like they will inevitably seep through the funnel, all right? At the top, you start with awareness. People are really excited. They're stopping you in the kitchen and they're asking you like, oh my God, I heard about the StrengthsFinder workshop or that tower building activity, like super stoked and like there's word of mouth, okay? Even those that are very committed will leak out because why? I've had folks that moments before a workshop, forget like weeks or days, moments before are like, oh my God, I'm so excited, I signed up, blah, blah, blah. And then they don't show up like 5 or 10 minutes later. Why? Because the phone rang and there went their participation, okay? So even the most committed will inevitably, sometimes leak out of the funnel, but it's really important to consider because it gives us a framework and an understanding for, right? They start up here, right? And at the middle and lower stages, that's where you want to hone in. Those are the people that you really want to focus on, because these are the folks that you're nurturing at that point through skill development, right? Getting them to apply, and they're a great place to, be channeling your energy, because now you've moved them from awareness all the way down through the funnel to eventual growth through application.
And ultimately, your role as an L&D person is on the right. You're creating those three core components: that generation, that nurturing, and performance. And then the learner's role is on the left to really go through that funnel.
All right, so a moment to have you just consider what we've been talking about, right? How would you describe, and we're going to pause just for a moment, how would you describe the learning brand in your organization? This one we're going to give you a moment to consider, think about.
And then partner up.
And then turn to the person next to you, all right? What would you describe the learning brand in your organization as?
Take a moment to think about that, and then have a quick discussion with your partner. Try to describe the learning brand. Or do you have a brand is the question. All right, we got it. I think we're good.
We're good. This is the longest one.
Yeah. So about another 30 seconds on that discussion. What's the brand? What's the brand?
Good, because we started at 40. We're gonna have somebody call out.
I don't think we have time.
No. Okay.
We can just ask the question. Are you going to take it? You're taking it? I'll take it. All right. So let's come back together as a larger group here. So how many people actually have a learning brand in their organization? Raise your hands. We have a learning brand. Ooh, that's not a lot of hands. So we have some work to do, right?
Remember, boring is a brand too. Does that change your answer?
So hopefully your brand is not boring, but the whole goal is that you need to create a brand behind your learning. And it could be simple as three core words that define what you're trying to achieve. Things like engage, learn, achieve, or we want to unleash curiosity. What is the goal or outcome that you're looking for with the learning in your organization? That doesn't cost any money to create that. So we encourage you to think about your brand as you leave here. All right, moving on. Number 5, deliver moments that matter. So what we're talking about earlier is we talked about this whole concept of boom. So let me explain what boom is. Boom is a transformational moment where people realize something inside them that they never knew was there before. And it's created by the experiences that they have on a day-to-day basis in the workplace. And typically, learning has a lot of impact on those moments. There's some research there from Josh Bersin that says 65% of L&D leaders say they fail at engaging workers with corporate learning. Also, L&D professionals, there's another stat out there that says 1 in 3 L&D professionals say that uninspiring learning is a barrier to engagement. So what does that all mean? That means we have to create some better moments for people to actually be transformed by the learning that we're doing. So what does that look like? The key point here is we have to take time to make every learning moment a memorable one. And if we take a step back and really think about what that looks like, we have to start focusing on how do we transform the time that we have with our learners, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, whether it's through an email, everything should matter. You think about, anybody in here love Chick-fil-A? Chick-fil-A fans in the room? All right. So if you ever walk into a Chick-fil-A, right, the experience of a Chick-fil-A starts as soon as you get through the door. People are greeting you. There's music playing. It's clean. And then by the time you sit down to eat your chicken sandwich, you're like, man, I'm in heaven, right? So if you think about the experiences that you need to create, you have to think about all those different touch points in learning that you can create those types of experiences. So in my career, what I found is there are 5 core characteristics that actually define and create what we like to call boom moments. The first one is generates excitement. The question is, does your learning actually get people excited? Do they even care to come to a workshop or watch an e-learning course? Secondly, does it create an emotional or intellectual connection? A lot of things I've done in my career, I really tried to focus on tapping the heartstrings of people. Because when you tap the heartstrings of people, you actually take folks to a different level, and they keep coming back for more. Third, does it build curiosity? Does it help people think about what they could ultimately become? Is it an approach or a framework that gets people curious about, man, if I applied this, what could I achieve? 4, it ultimately fuels engagement. It actually gets people more engaged, and you start to see that in employee engagement surveys, in the smile sheets you get in workshops. And then lastly, they're typically more unconventional than traditional. We had a workshop one time where a colleague of mine, I said, hey, let's try to create a transformational moment for the participants. It was on trust. So we had keys made, and on the key, we inscripted, trust is the key to success. So at the end of the workshop, we gave everybody a key to remember that trust is the key to success so that they will remember what they learned in the workshop. You got to do some things that are different from the traditional way of looking at learning. Is this helping anybody? All right, so that's just the characteristics. The second piece of this is the mindset, right? You deliver moments that matter by shifting and changing your mindset. The first one is you got to fix your lens. Your lens is your perspective on how you see learning and the impact you can make in your organization. Stop having a lack of confidence around what you can do and what you can become. Really think about how you can add value every single day in your organization. Secondly, fueling your curiosity. I have a 2-year-old son. When I walk into his room in the morning, I take him out of his crib. Every single morning he wakes up and he does this. Because he has this wonder in his eyes and this wonder of curiosity that every day he wakes up and he's curious about what the world has to offer for that day. We got to get back to that as L&D professionals. Be curious again about what you can do. It's a great time to be in L&D. Third, commit to creativity. Don't just dabble in it. We're not performing heart surgery. Shout out to the surgeons that do that. I respect you. And in L&D, we're not doing that. The stakes aren't that high in that case. So you can do some things and try some things differently when you commit to creativity. So with that said, I want you to think about these boom characteristics and take a moment to reflect. Considering those characteristics of boom, identify one potential boom moment that you could create in your organization. Is it a small initiative you can start, like a hashtag make time for learning? Is it a workshop that you can create or a lunch and learn? So take a moment to think about, maybe it's an existing moment that you need to transform to be a much more engaging moment. So take a minute to reflect on that and jot that down in your notes. Does this make sense what we're talking about here? Boom moments? Awesome. I love seeing people writing. Thank you for listening. All right, moving on.
Okay, did anyone learn anything cool or interesting from those the opening conversations? Yes, you know what? It would have been a little bit challenging to do that had you not been face to face, okay? All right, so this next section is about connection, the third element that comes together, right, to create a the learning culture formula, all right? It's about connecting with individuals, and we as L&D professionals are poised, I would say, more so than other folks within the organization, to create opportunities for folks to connect, not just with us, but to connect with one another, okay? So this sixth way to turn your employees into learners is about getting face-to-face with your learners, and I'm gonna go ahead and just right now say that this is gonna sound fluffy, maybe, all right? It's gonna sound like a little Pollyanna-ish, okay? All right, but I'll go ahead and say that this is, for me, a call to action. All right, as far as wanting to turn my employees into learners, it's about getting from out behind my desk, all right, and really truly like connecting with folks. I look at it as like an extension of like a needs assessment, right? I want to know what my audience needs. My audience is out there. I'm gonna go out there, right? And it's a challenge when you have folks across territories, right? But you can do it virtually also. The idea is face-to-face, like connection, right? Can you do it with one-on-one people? Yeah, you can, right? You could also do it in groups. I think focus groups as an example, right? But for me, what it's looked like specifically is like walking around the office, and I've been labeled at times like the mayor of the office. It goes the mayor of Service Titan, right? Because I'll walk around the office and I'm like, hey, what's up? High five, how's it going, right? So the genesis of that, right? We call that a desk drop, by the way. Right?
Desk drop.
Desk dropping, yep. But dropping by the desk. The genesis of that was admittedly like, a little bit self-serving as an L&D professional. I'll tell you why, because I was really just going up to people's desks and be like, hey, hi, oh my God, how you doing? Did you activate your LinkedIn Learning Access? Go ahead and do it now. Yeah, oh no
it
problem.
Worked.
Here you go. Here's my laptop. Whoosh, I'll send it to you again, right? There you go, do it, right? So it started off that way, right? And then it just continued from there as a way to just really get away from my desk, really connect with the folks, right? It's an opportunity to influence not just my learners, but also connect with like the leadership team and see like, hey, listen, I'm in it to win it, right? In it to win it, I get it? So I'm in it to win it. I'm out there. I'm speaking to the people I really want to understand. I want to connect. I want to touch them. I want to go ahead and really get a feel for what it is that the business is, what's buzzing in the business. And sometimes that's just really hard to do from behind my desk, thinking in like having a compliance kind of mind, right? I gotta check the box and roll out these workshops. No, I really wanna go out there and come back, right? Armed with the experience of meeting and speaking and communicating with our people, okay? Why is that important? Well, everyone communicates, but communication and connection are completely are two different things.
So start doing some desk drops, some virtual drops,
Yeah.
some office drops, whatever drop you need to do to connect with your learners. Next up, number 7, break down silos between L&D and HR. Any HR professionals in the room? Okay, sometimes L&D, we don't play too nice with HR because we have different agendas, but actually we have the same agenda. So we need to break down those silos. Can I get 2 quick volunteers? Maybe one from here? One volunteer to come up to the stage real quick? Volunteer? One quick volunteer. I promise I won't embarrass you. I want to just demonstrate something really quickly as I talk about breaking down silos. Come up to the front. Give it up to them as they come. Give it up for them. All right.
Yay!
So Shauna here is going to play HR, and Wendy, you're going to play L&D. So we're going to do something called air counting. You're going to face each other. And the objective is to count to 10 in the air as quickly as possible. The first person that actually counts to 10, once you're done air counting, raise your hand, all right? So it looks like this, 1. And you're not going to say anything, but once you're done, first person done, raise your hand in the air. We're good on what we're doing? You're HR, you're L&D, go. All right, thank you. Give it up for him. So that's round 1. We're going to give it up for him. We're going to do something different in round 2. So round 2, same objective. We're trying to count to 10. But this time, HR, you're going to take the lead. All right, so you're going to lead the way in counting. You're going to trace her as she counts to 10. All right, you clear on what we're doing? And go. Same objective. Okay, we don't have all day. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wait. Here you go.
Let's give them some shirts. But you get the point. In the first round, it was a competition. That's typically what it feels like. It feels like a struggle where we're trying to do our own thing. And our relationship looks like this. It's a tug of war versus working together. It actually takes a little bit more focus, communication, and connection and partnership, where your relationship with HR should look more like a bridge. It should look more like this. If you think about the characteristics of a bridge represents safety. A bridge is long-lasting and strong. So let's stop working in silos and work together. You can partner with HR on things like performance management, wellness, and bring those initiatives to life because HR typically holds the keys to really impacting the business. So let's get back to partnering with HR and breaking down those silos. Make sense?
Yeah, also I want to say like a bridge quite literally is a way over, right? And Lord knows that we face a lot of things that it'd be nice to get over in our organizations, right? What an idea to get over together, right? So.
And the last way, number 8, invest in managers. Any managers in the room? Man, it's hard being a manager. Ooh. That's why we're on this whole movement to really get back to investing in managers and not just doing things like, oh, let's put together a new manager training workshop and send all of our new managers through the training. I'm talking about filling the white space is what I like to call the in-between time when the manager's at their desk, struggling and frustrated. What are you doing as an L&D professional to help them and encourage them? Because the key here is your manager is the key learner that can impact everyone in the organization to become the learner that they want to become in the first place. 75% of employees actually say they would take a course recommended by their manager. 42% of managers are actually effective at employee development. That's okay, but some work to do there. And then third, from an HR perspective, we actually expect leaders to be developing their employees 36% of the time, which is not a lot of time, but we have a lot of expectations on our managers. So the question I have is the same question that the great philosopher Janet Jackson said, is what have you done for them lately? What have you done in your organization for your managers outside of beating them over the head all the time? We got to show some managers love and support and really work together to take them to the next level because they're the key in our organizations. So on the screen here, these are the top 25 companies that have the best managers according to a poll by Comparably back in 2018. The question I have for you is your company represented up there? And as I did some research on this, I found some of the things that stood out to me that these companies are focused on more than just development. It's focused on really creating a community and engaging people and really supporting their managers to be their absolute best. So how do you do that? Because that's hard. It's hard to really support our managers and do it in an effective way. So let me help you. Here are some ways you can do that. These are different ways to invest in your managers that are beyond just creating workshops. So things like quick coaching. I recently did some quick coaching, set up 15-minute quick coaching sessions with managers during performance management time. I had a manager go through one of those quick coaching sessions, 15 minutes. He said that transformed the way I lead, 15 minutes. See, typically we get caught up in like, oh, we need to build all these like 8-hour workshops and all these crazy things. No, you just need to give them some time and some support and meet them where they are. So that's one thing that worked pretty well. Another thing, manager swag. We actually started a movement at our organization called Extraordinary Starts With Me. We created t-shirts. People love t-shirts for some reason, right? People love t-shirts. Extraordinary Starts With Me, people manager on the tag, and we created a co-op. We took the top 25 managers in our organization, and we're bringing them together to actually drive learning and engagement in the organization. So there's some things you can do to really arm your manager to be successful. So I encourage you to think about one of these ways or other ways that you can do it as well. So real quick, the last thing as we start to wrap up here, on your handout, I want you to think about 1 to 2 types of investments you can make in your managers within the next 90 days. Think about an idea, quickly turn to your neighbor, share that idea, high-five them, and then we'll start to wrap things up. We clear on what we're doing? Awesome. Go. Just real quick hits, an idea, something. Maybe it's cupcakes. I love managers, whatever the case may be. Okay, another 30 seconds. I can see people thinking. I can see it, I can feel it. All right. See, the beauty of Talent Connect is that you can connect beyond this session and keep those conversations going. So to wrap things up, a couple key takeaways. Has this been helpful so far? Did you get anything out of this so far? All right. So the first thing is be a learning strategist. Move from being traditional L&D where you just show up with your L&D expertise and expect people to feast on what's going on, and start getting in with your business in a different way and become that consultant, that curator that they need.
Yes, next one is create experiences that matter, and there's intentionality behind that, right? I'll admit that some of the stuff that we've mentioned is a little bit personality driven, right? You know, the whole like, that, you know, right? That might not be you, but I do encourage you to like be you. Whatever you is, you know, if it's consistent, obviously, with what's on brand in your organization, just be that, right? And be it to the utmost, be it completely, be it sincerely, be it authentic. And people will follow that. People get inspired by that. So create those moments that absolutely matter. And stay curious, right? You know, tap into that inner child, the one that's always like, why, how? Like, tap into that.
And number 3, cultivate and drive connection. One of my favorite authors is Brene Brown, Dr. Brene Brown. TED Talk, Power of Vulnerability, 18 Minutes Will Change Your Life if you haven't seen it. She talks about how we're wired for connection. And I think we lose that focus on connection when we sit there behind our computers and try to crank out a bunch of stuff. Get back to connecting with people, because that's what we're here for. We're all wired for that in the first place. So if we could recharge that connection, we could actually transform our organizations like never before. So as we start to wind this down here, I'd like you to think about what's one action item that you can take away from this discussion today. I know we gave you 8 ways, but maybe it's one of the ways that you're like, man, I'm going to focus on that for the next 90 days and try to turn every employee into my organization into a learner. So take a moment, think about one action that you'll take. There's a space for you to write that on your handout there. One action that you can take to help turn every employee in your organization into a learner. Maybe it's one of these ways. Maybe it's you're doing some of this already. So take a quick moment to reflect on that. All right, once you have that action, just quickly tell your neighbor what you're going to do. Quickly share with them, this is what I'm going to do, so you can say it out loud. I commit to doing X. Tell your neighbor. I don't see people talking to their neighbor. I'm going to start being like Cynthia up here. All right.
Okay.
So let's come back together. So to wrap things up, hopefully you found an idea or something that you can do, because I'm a firm believer that the knowledge is free, but the application you got to pay for. So you can come to the sessions all you want, but if you don't do anything when you leave the session, you're wasting your time. All right? So to wrap up, a couple resources for you. This is one of those take a picture of the screen moments. Tons of different resources that we've used throughout our career, from free to paid, to where if you have 2 people on your team or 20, you can leverage these resources to start really creating engagement and learning in your organization like never before. Some of my favorites up there, Metalog training tools, where you get people doing some crazy, weird stuff, and then you debrief it. And it's like, hey, we took you through this activity, right? So things like that. And lastly, the formula, strategy, plus your experiences, plus connection, times engagement, ultimately equals the learning culture. So we bucketed these based on the 8 ways. Hopefully you took something out of this. That's our time. We have, I believe, like a minute or so for some questions.
Yeah, you know what? I just want to add to that real quick. Just bring a brick. If you've gone to like a Second City workshop or something, they say that a lot, right? Don't bring the castle. Just bring a brick, right? And build from there, okay? A quick question?
Questions? None. Thank you. We're out of here.
Yay.
No, I'm teasing. Any questions?
All right, so.
Over here.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, my
You
name
get a
is.
T-shirt.
Oh,
Yay.
thank you. My name is Michelle, and I am in L&D space. I'm curious to hear what was, in your opinion, the most successful marketing method. Was it the newsletters? Was it emails? Was it the face-to-face? Which one is your most?
So, so definitely face-to-face, all right? Maybe a take on face-to-face. I don't know if this is face-to-face. I'm going to go with it. Anyway, okay, so potty training was this thing that we did, all right? Potty training was essentially getting people where they are often found. Where do they find themselves? Everybody's got to go to the bathroom, okay? So we essentially we started putting like flyers in the stalls. I mean, like that's been done before, right? But we were like, hey, we need a captive audience or catch them where they're at. You're gonna sit there, and you're gonna read. So we put like,
It worked.
Yeah, like infographics and just like advertisements for other stuff. Like we did an unconscious bias course, and like, I mean, who wants to go to like a compliance sort of feeling kind of course, right? So we did a take on the Got Milk, I think like the black with the white lettering, and it was just like got bias. That's it. Right?
It worked.
People are just like, oh, what's that? Like they're stopping to ask. So yeah. So like a take on face-to-face, except we're like not in your face in the bathroom, but our presence is there. So,
Man, I'm so excited. I keep seeing more time put on the clock. That's amazing, whoever's doing that. So more questions. We got a little bit more time. In the back here. And then here and then there.
Just real quick, how do you reach more hourly employees, like employees that are out on manufacturing lines or out in the field? Like what is a good app or a good way to connect with them and your salaried employees?
LinkedIn Learning.
Yeah.
But no, for them to feel like they're on the same level, like they're involved with what's going on at headquarters.
I think the key thing is to make sure you're giving equal access to everyone. I think sometimes we do all this segmenting. Obviously, there's different policies and procedures within your organizations you got to follow, but I would really think about, like, can everyone access everything that we're trying to provide? And then also, sometimes you just got to get out of your office and go see those people and really hear what they want and need. We did something called the Voice of the Learner survey, where it was pretty much your needs assessment, but flipped it and said, what are the preferences, what are the things you need to be effective in your role? And it touched everyone, and we got some good data and feedback from that, and we started shifting how we're doing things in our organization to really build learning. So I would say go where your people are and really try to figure out what they need, and then start to source those tools accordingly, leveraging some of the stuff we talked about in terms of the questions you want to ask around tools.
I would also say that anything that would allow you to really like use your custom content as well has been useful for us. Coming from us, our team, and then also empowering like managers, like we said before, right? Like you have something that's specific for your team that you want to make sure that they that is specific to the team, specific to the role, their hours, things like that, the way they do work.
I think we got time for one more question. I think over here.
So I work in HR. technologies. And so we have a lot of boring systems that we have to train on. So how do you make that exciting, and all the things you talked about, making connections and experiences, how do you make that exciting?
Yeah, do you have an L&D team?
No.
Okay. You're it, huh? Just give us a call then, we'll come. No, I'm teasing. No, I think I would really take a step back and try to think about, okay, let's think about society today. What's engaging in society today as a consumer? What are some of the things that are simple that you can do to just take it up 1%? It doesn't have to be this complete flip of like, cool, now we're doing these jigs and like, hey, compliance training. It's more like 1% change. What is something we can do differently? Maybe it's like a small tchotchke that we can give to people that really inspire them. Just something subtle to move the needle on that. It doesn't have to be this crazy transformative experience initially, because you can ultimately get there.
I mean, the branding too. Like the branding is a way to dress it up, sort of, right? You know what I mean? Because switching systems, and I know that's not realistic, but I find that the branding piece takes, like, for example, like the unconscious bias thing is like adding a little bit of salt, right, to an otherwise bland pot of soup. So.
And then one last thing before we...
Oh yeah, for sure. So there's more. Guess what? All right, so we just...
we have a course.
We have a course, yeah.
LinkedIn Learning.
So
Dropped this week.
Super excited. We had a
Learning.
chance to film a course with the team at LinkedIn Learning, and it's called Tactics for Learner Engagement. Just dropped on Tuesday, so watch it, share it, give us feedback on it. We would absolutely love. I mean, this was our first go at a course, so like the feedback would absolutely be helpful, and we want to keep the conversation going, right? So if there are questions that come up outside of this room, hit us up, right? Find us on social media, on LinkedIn, Twitter, and yeah, let's just keep talking, right? Let's keep connecting.
And one more thing. Boom.
Oh, yeah. Can we do that together though?
Yeah.
All right. You know what we're gonna do, right? One.
Hit the social channels.
Two.
Grab your
Actually, you know what?
phone.
Yeah, take out your phone.
Take out your
if you
phone.
will, right?
We don't want to blow up the feed
So
right now.
you've been missing
Okay.
for 45 minutes, and
Yep.
we want people to know where you've been.
Yes.
So they are no longer concerned. Can you take out your phone and let them know where you've been? You've been booming in the room over here.
So if we can get everyone to do something with their phone, take it out, and we're going to do
you know
boom
what?
on 3. You can take a picture of that, share that,
Time out.
#boom.
No, this is my concert moment. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it. I know I hate myself right now, right? I'm gonna do it.
She
So
said
here we
do
go.
a selfie. I wasn't going to do it.
All right, I'm gonna do it.
All right, so on 3, here we go. Take out your phones too so you can get this. On 3, 1, 2, 3.
Boom! There you go.
Thank you, LinkedIn, for inviting us to the dance and allowing us to dance. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.